Volunteering is not always easy. In fact, volunteering can be a downright unpleasant experience. Now, I know people in this room have given money to charitable causes. I know you have given your time to nonprofit organizations. But have you ever hesitated to volunteer because you were uncomfortable? I know I have. When I was a 10-year-old boy, I had my first volunteer experience. Actually, it was my mom who told me to come to work with her. Where did my mom work? Extendicare. It was a hospital for people with mental and physical disabilities. And my mom was a psychiatric nurse. And she thought it would be a great idea to bring her 10-year-old boy to Arts and Crafts Day to experience what she does at work. I'd never been in a hospital other than that day I was born. And when I showed up, I was a bit overwhelmed. I mean, things looked kind of different and smelled kind of different, honestly. I was a little intimidated by the whole thing. And she took me on this long, brightly lit corridor with the shiny marble floor, and we turned the corner into this cafeteria area where all of the patients were assembled for Arts and Crafts Day. She said, "Now, Davey, I'm going to set you up at one of these little stations here and just help out and just do your best." As I looked around to see people weren't normal. There was people who couldn't see, people who were in wheelchairs. There were people who were making loud noises. It was just so uncomfortable. I looked up at my mom, and she could tell that I was having that kind of panic look. What do I do? She goes, "Here, sit down over here. You're going to help Georgie make a decoupage." Now, this is the thing in the 70s, right? We would take like a little piece of wood, you're nodding your head, cut out a picture from a magazine, stick it on there, and then you paint shellac over it, and it makes a nice little kind of wall hanging. And Georgie, who I was assigned to help out, was a double amputee. He was in a wheelchair, legs cut off at the knees, couldn't really control his motor skills. He never looked at me. In fact, his eyes would kind of roll around, sometimes roll completely back in his head. He couldn't always control the saliva in his mouth, and there's like a little bit of drooling. And it's like, "Mom, am I really qualified for this?" Just here. Just help him, show him what to do. So I did my best. And I picked up the brush and I said, "Here, Georgie, do this." And he was kind of, his arms not really under control. So I grabbed hold of his hand, put the brush in his hand. I said, "Here, like this." I said, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I looked up at his face, and I saw the biggest smile I've ever seen in my life. He was having the time of his life. And my mom came around and kind of leaned over and said, "Everything going okay?" I said, "Well, Mom, I don't know, can he understand what I say to him?" She said, "Well, he may not understand your words, but he understands how it feels." That was an experience that stuck with me. No matter how uncomfortable I was, my willingness to be uncomfortable was offering comfort to someone else. Let's fast forward to my adult years. Some of you know Jane, my wife. It was our third date. And I thought, I want to really get to know this amazing woman. I knew she was into animal rescue. I said, "Can you take me to one of your rescue events? Let's have a date where we go and I really get behind the scenes in what you do." She goes, "Are you sure?" "Yeah, let's do it." Okay, we're going to the Stockton shelter this Saturday. Now, what I didn't know when we got there, you show up as a volunteer, we're here to work on your old pants and your old shoes, and you're ready to do whatever they tell you to do. It was spay and neuter day for the cats. They had 55 cats to spay and neuter. And we were going to be in charge of reviving the kitties after their anesthesia wore off. There was only one problem. I'm allergic to cats. This was an uncomfortable situation. So what did I do? I mean, normal guy trying to impress a woman would do. I stuffed a couple of Kleenexes up my nose. So let's do this. Very attractive, I think. And so we had this assembly line of cats, and I had to put them on the little bean. I had to warm up the beanbag in the microwave and put the cat on top of the beanbag till they started to warm up. And when they started to move, you better get them in the cage, because when they awake all the way, they're going to be all over the place. So I'm like in this panic mode, trying not to breathe in the cat dander, and put a little flea dip on the back. And we had this little like I Love Lucy assembly line going with the cats, and you got to make sure, whoa, get in the cage before. And while we were doing that, I looked over the corner at two of the veterinarians who volunteered. They were working on this little scruffy schnauzer. Could have been more than this big. He obviously had been outdoors, homeless for a long time. He had burrs all up in his ears and his hair. His teeth were in bad shape. These two ladies, who could have been working in their office making a lot of money that day as veterinarians, worked on that little dog for 30 minutes to remove the burrs from his ears, pull a couple of bad teeth. And I asked him, is he going to be okay? He said, he's probably not going to live long. So we want to make sure the time he has left, he's comfortable. Wow. Their willingness to be uncomfortable just to make that poor little dog comfortable. And the last example, which is not too long ago, a couple of years ago, remember the wildfires racing through Napa? We've had several fires since, and I felt compelled to go up there and help. I was worried, honestly. I wasn't sure what I was doing, but all these experiences in my life that kind of contributed to that willingness to be uncomfortable. Said, I'll figure it out. So I went to Costco, loaded up my car with toilet paper and water and all the stuff they said they needed, drove up to the fairgrounds in Napa. And when I showed up at this camp full of families who had been streaming down out of the mountains because their homes had burned down, it was chaos. There was mountains of donated goods that needed to be sorted out, and camping supplies, and diapers this high, and people running around, and no one telling the volunteers what to do. And I stood in the middle of this chaos thinking, this is uncomfortable for me. Because I'm a person that likes to be organized. I like people to tell me, here's what I want you to do, can you please do it? And be specific. And I was in the middle of chaos. And so I started picking up water bottles and carrying them over here, and then I watched somebody else pick up my thing and carry it back to where I took it from, and people running every which way. And so I just kind of stepped back, took a deep breath, and looked up at the corner. This little boy, no more than 6 years old, tears streaming down his face, all alone, standing against the corner of the cafeteria. First parents, I look around, I go over, hi, well, where's your family? And he just cried, not even sure he understood my English. I took him by the hand, and for the next half an hour, I walked him around. Anybody report a missing child? No? Okay. About where's the missing child? Where am I? I just walked and walked, and finally someone said, go check the barracks over there. We got a bunch of cots set up for families. I walked him up and down all the aisles until finally a crying mother ran up and hugged me. That's why I was supposed to be there. I contributed that one little thing because I was willing to withstand the chaos and be uncomfortable. I know you're all good people. You got great hearts. I've seen you give your money. I've seen you give your time. Today I'm just encouraging you to think about those situations where you may not be totally comfortable, may be hard, maybe even smell a little funny. Boy, those in need you. Be the uncomfortable volunteer.
Excellent. We will now have a